20 strong chess players from 9 federations compete in St. Louis. USChessChamps.com presents the 3rd annual Winter Chess Classic.
Hello and welcome to the 2019 Winter Chess Classic here in St. Louis. We will be your hosts for this event. My name is National Master Caleb Denby, and I'm joined by the wonderful Woman Grandmaster Sabina Foisor.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Looking forward to this event.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you with us here in the studio, and of course it is a star-studded Winter Classic this year. Who are some of your favorite players going in?
Ooh, it's going to be really tough to say someone. I guess it's such a strong field that we have a lot of very strong American chess players.
Right.
And then a lot of foreigners coming here to win the title. So I don't know. I know the big group whom I'm going to be rooting for. Of course, my fiance, Grandmaster Elsha Moradiabadi. But for the A group, I haven't made up my mind just yet. So
well, why don't we take a look at who exactly is playing in the A group with our A group field. We have the one and only Grandmaster Jeffrey Zhang from the United States with a FIDE rating of 2712. He is just within striking distance, I think, of actually passing Hikaru Nakamura within around 20 to 30 points now, and he's been closer.
Yeah, and he had some great tournaments recently in the World Cup, knocking out some really top players in the world. So he's definitely, he's been one of the top players in the U.S., and now he's getting so close to the top 3, right?
Yeah, the top 4 now, with
so
Lenier switching.
Yeah, he might be making the U.S. team soon, so we'll see.
Yeah, it would be unheard of for Hikaru Nakamura not to have a spot on the U.S. Olympiad team, but it could happen with Jeffrey Zhang coming up. And we also have Alexei Starana from Russia, the number 2 seed. Grigory Operin, also representing the Russian Federation, but he's living in the United States now. He's actually part
Mizzou,
of
right?
the Mizzou chess team has recruited him in the first year of their program. Sam Sevian from the United States, of course, needs no introduction. One of the brightest juniors in the U.S. Behind Jeffrey Zhang. Renat Jumabayev from Kazakhstan is here. Sethu from India is playing. Var Akobian, the St. Louis native, is of course in this event. Hovannes Kabuzian returns from Armenia. Viktor Erdos from Hungary. And rounding out the A group, Daniel Naroditsky, who has recently been making some waves, I think, in the online chess community, doing some live streaming.
I think he was working on his, he was in university for a long time. He used to take like one year off, I think, and then back, and I would only see him in the U.S. Championship a few times. I got the chance to talk to him, and he's a very smart, young man, and it's nice to see him back in the field and in St. Louis.
I don't know him personally that well, but he always struck me as a very focused chess player. When he sets his mind to whatever he's working on, he really gets it done.
That's true.
Of course, he's also an accomplished author now as well. So
and
a lot of hats that he wears.
He writes a lot for Chess Life. I think every issue of Chess Life magazine, he has an article there. So definitely.
Good to see Daniel here in St. Louis, and hopefully he can do well this tournament. We see him there over the board, hard at work, which is 20 minutes on his clock. Well, why don't we take a look at the players in the B group as well?
Sounds great.
We have Sergei Azarov from Belarus, the number 1 seed in the B group. Following him is Sergei Ehrenberg, representing the United States, Emilio Cordova from Peru, Federico Perez Ponce from Argentina, Elshan Moradiabadi, of course, the commentator's pick for the B group, Tigran Harut Union from Armenia. We have Alexei Sorokin from Russia, Melik Kachian from the United States, and rounding out the B group are actually 2 youngsters. The number 1 and number 2 U14 players in the Americas, Justin Wang and Christopher Yu, are both in this event, hoping to gain some rating points and make a name for themselves early on.
Definitely, and I'm sure they're trying to get their GM norms. I actually played against Justin Wang some years ago. After I had won the U.S. Championship, actually here in St. Louis, there was one of these invitational tournaments.
Right.
And I thought, okay, definitely I'm going to beat this kid, but no. He had a really great positional understanding then, and I lost. So
Yeah, no,
it's interesting to see them playing here now.
It's actually a bit of a surprise for me. I think I had heard Justin Wang's name a few years ago, and I saw that he was, a very promising player. And then it feels like I blinked, and he's an international master, 2460, trying to hit grandmaster, and
that's true.
It seems to have happened right under my nose.
And same with Christopher Yu. I believe he's trying to be one of the youngest grandmasters. I'm not sure he's still on the run for that, but
I think at under age 14, he's still very much on the list of youngest ever if he were to make it quite soon.
And he's also famous for having won in world chess composition. So it's really interesting to see some of the youngsters being passionate about playing chess, getting better, but also doing other things like playing online, but composing too, because I think composing is a really beautiful.
I think that's really rare. I think he got actually some award for not just a junior composer, but actual. I think he got like third place in some actual composition.
World composition. I think it was under 23 or 26 years old.
Yeah,
something like that. So that's amazing for
at his young age.
Yeah.
And we see him making his moves right there. Well,
that's right.
Why don't we move along to the tournament format, see what kind of time control these players are playing. There are, of course, 2 10-player round robins. That's the A group and the B group that we just took a look at. And the time control for this event is the standard one for most of these tournaments. You have 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, and then 30 minutes added on for the remainder of the game. There's, of course, a 30-second increment for move 1. We do have a draw rule in effect for this tournament. There are no draw offers allowed before Black's 30th move. Of course, the game could still be drawn by repetition.
Of course, but that's always great because that inspires more fighting chess.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to seeing some decisive results here.
Definitely. And lastly, let's take a look at the schedule for the events. Today, of course, is Sunday, November 10th, kicking off round 1, starting at 1 p.m. Our show, of course, starts at 3:30 p.m. Every day, besides for the final day. So these players, no rest day in this event. They will be playing 1 game a day, all starting at 1 p.m. until the final day, where we start a couple hours early to make room for a playoff. Of course, we're happy to have you guys here joining us online on YouTube. If you want to follow along, watch the games for yourself, you can do so on uschesschamps.com. Of course, you can chat with us here in the YouTube chat. We're taking a look at that. I see Patrick Daly is here as always. Press Play, Digital Gravity, The Business, Ray Lopez, and Checkmate is watching. So very interesting usernames there. Glad to have you guys here with us. If you also want to get involved on Twitter, you can do so with the hashtag Winter Chess Classic, and we'll be taking a look at some of those throughout the show as well. Well, it's time to jump into it. Let's look at some chess games.
Let's look at some chess games.
The round 1 pairings for the A group are as follows. Alexei Sarana is playing Rinat Jumabayev. Sam Sevian squares off against Mizzou's Grigory Oparin. Hovannes Kabuzian plays Var Akobian. Daniel Naroditsky squares off against Victor Erdos. And our key matchup of the day is between the Group 1 top seed Jeffrey Zhang and Sethu from India. And their game is quite interesting. In fact, it might be close to ending. So why don't we see what happened here?
So this is the current position that we have right now. But I think we should go back in the opening and see how did we get into this crazy position with the king completely opened. So we had e45, knight f3. We see a Scotch. This is very interesting. It's one, I think this is an opening that is played these days a lot in top level. I asked my students to play this as well, actually, with white, and they're doing great. But it starts 4 knights. Sometimes I tell them, play knight c3 first, develop your knights, and then do...
Well, a big reason for it is there's all these annoying lines against the Roy Lopez now that black is just proving equality, it seems like, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So white players seem to be branching out a little bit more, trying things like the Scotch, trying other things to get a game.
Yeah, I think it's great. And it's nice to sometimes see some of these players start with e4, d4. There's a lot of opening knowledge that they have. And I always think it's not easy for other players to understand how come they can do all that. Well, maybe we can ask some of our guests if they will come to be interviewed by us to see how do they make the decisions. Maybe we can try to peek into some of the grandmasters' minds and
Yeah, definitely.
But
we would love to get Jeffrey in for an interview. I think if he manages to win this game, especially, we'll pick his brain about his thoughts on this tournament, his opening prep, see what he has in store for us.
Let's do that. But meanwhile, let's see. So knight f6 is one of the main lines here in this position for black. If you're a beginner, probably you're considering to trade the knights in d4, but that's not really such a great idea because you're helping white get the queen out in the game, and actually afterwards you don't have a new knight with which you're going to chase it away. So you should not do that. Try to look for a moves like knight f6 or maybe bishop c5.
Yeah, there's some conflicting rules there, right? You know, we tell beginners not to develop the queen in the opening. Yeah. But at the same time, if the queen's on a solid square where it can't be chased around, then it's just an active piece.
That's true. So you have to, in chess sometimes you're learning some things and then you have to learn to bend the rules a little bit and try to improve your knowledge. Anyways, so let's see how the game went. So I think so far it's pretty normal. What do you think?
To my knowledge, yeah.
d5.
I'm no Scotch theoretician, but...
Pawn takes d5, c takes d5, and this is kind of, you know, now black could say that they're happy because they got rid of their double pawns here, and they have a pawn in the center, but not to worry because white is going to finish their development really fast, and that's exactly what Jeffrey did by castling. Now we start having ideas to take advantage of the king in the center, so of course black has to rush bishop e7 and now c4. I really like this idea.
Yeah, white has this advantage in development, so he does something immediately, right? He doesn't kind of just sit on it and let black finish development. He strikes in the center before black is prepared.
And it's always important when your opponent has a pawn in the center, you shouldn't let them just have a pawn in the center. You should try to find a way to get rid of that pawn because, you know, you try to have your own space. So that's what Jeffrey's doing with c4. And we see castle, c takes d5, and now Seturaman went for bishop b7. He's not rushing to take the pawn back because he wants to make sure he doesn't stay behind in development. Knight c3, knight takes d5. I think so far still seems pretty normal for black. I'm not actually super familiar with this opening.
This position looks new to me, but that's not to say it's not still a theoretical position. But to my eyes, it just looks pretty comfortable for white, right?
Yeah.
There's the c7 pawn, which looks a little bit testy, and these bishops, looking at the king's side.
These bishops, the c7 isolated pawn, yeah, I mean, if you get the chance to trade one of the bishops, like it actually happened in the game, you might be okay, but you have to be careful afterwards because if you end up trading one of the bishops, then you have to see how you're going to place your pawns in front of the king.
Right.
And if you will go for g6 after trading the dark square bishops, then it might be a problem because, well, we'll see what happens in the game. For those who haven't watched yet, let's let them a little bit in suspense.
I will say, if I got positions like this, I would start playing the Scotch every game.
That's true, actually.
This looks very comfortable, very pleasant. Maybe something went wrong for Sethu here in the opening.
Yeah, we'll have to check this after today's...
yeah. So what happened next?
Bishop f6, and he took queen takes f6. This seems still pretty normal, but now queen c2. Looking at these two pawns, and
the bishop on b7 is also loose.
Yes, I wonder, like, where exactly was the mistake, or maybe this is still theory, although
I feel like maybe. I don't want to jump around too much. If we go back right after c4,
let's go back there.
Black
Maybe
simply castled, and I thought that struck me as a little bit odd.
Maybe d4.
Yeah, d4 looks like the most natural move to me. It is kind of overextending a little bit, perhaps, and this was Jeffrey's idea. But I feel like you need to keep this center pawn. This is your compensation for the lead in development that white had.
Something like this, maybe, like try to keep protected pass pawn over there, but it's not going to be so easy because white
there's some funny ideas here. What if white plays b4 in this position?
All right, let's show.
Something crazy like this, maybe. Of course, if you take b4, there's a queen a4 check.
You have to be careful
and so,
about those.
White is playing very, very immediately with bishop b2, and perhaps this is what drove Sethu away from playing like this, but maybe just a difficult position for black already.
Well, maybe black can try to castle in this position. And then do you want to play...
Bishop b2 was my idea.
Immediately? You know, you don't have that check anymore. So...
Yeah, if you take b4, I'll take d4.
True. True, so we could get into such a position.
Yeah, maybe this is a better idea. There's also maybe just a3 for white is possible.
Well,
but
my idea was something with c5, and even if you know, I won't be able to maintain a protected pass pawn, at least try to have, you know, create a weakness for you as well, like over here, you know, this pawn in c4 will both have a pass pawn, but maybe weakness as well.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement that castles might have just been a little bit
maybe this was the move.
Yeah. But okay, what has happened in the game?
Let's go back to, so bishop f6. So Seth is trying to trade the dark squared bishops, thinking, okay, white has some active pieces, let's try to get rid of them, and that makes sense. Bishop takes f6, queen takes, but now queen c2. So we've seen it so far. And of course, here you have to try to make up your mind which of these two pawns you're going to give up. So I think it makes sense to give up this.
Oh, and the game has actually been completed. I believe Sethu has resigned this game against Jeffrey Zhang. So why don't we quickly run through and see what happened here.
Maybe we can ask Jeffrey's opinion exactly how much theory did he have, how much preparation he had.
So g6 was played in the game.
Queen takes c7, and I was saying that I think it's good to give up that pawn compared to okay, taking
so
b2.
Queen b2, and so there's this idea where both bishops are a little bit loose.
That is true, but queen to d4, and now rook f to d1. I really like this move. I think this is a really good move. You really do not want to trade those bishops.
So yeah, we will finish taking a look at this game first, but I believe Huvanas Gabuzian has actually also won his game, and I think he's going to hop in for an interview in just a second. So maybe you can run through the rest of this game very quickly while I swap out here and we get Huvanas.
Sounds good. All right, let's do that.
All right.
So in this position, Seth played bishop d5, trying to escape with the bishop from the attack, but this does not seem to be a very tough. I wonder if there was any other move that Black would have played here. It's not so easy to find an escape for Black in this position. So bishop d5, and now we have this beautiful discovery that probably Seth has calculated a little bit, but Black's king here is not very safe. After bishop takes h7, you know, you do have the extra piece, but you are not going to survive very much with that king in h7, and we have seen the result actually was changed to the result was in Jeffrey's favor, so for sure it was very unpleasant. Definitely we'll have Jeffrey coming soon, but right now I think we're getting ready for alright, queen c2, rook e1, king g6, and now h3. Very interesting move. I like this h3. And for some reason, I'm not getting the entire game until the end. I'm not sure if this was the end or I'm having some internet issues, but yeah, very beautiful game. And I believe maybe rook h4 could have been the last move of the game. And there's no way to stop the mates. All right. Okay, Huvanas Gabuzian, thank you so much for joining us today. You had a beautiful game. Unfortunately, we haven't had the time to look at it just yet. Would you like to? Thanks for being here, and would you like to take us through the game a little bit to let us know?
First of all, I'd like to thank organizers for such a great event. I always enjoy to play in St. Louis. Yeah, so let's get to the game.
Sorry. All right, so you played against one of our St. Louis favorites, or locals, VAR. And are you guys friends?
Well, we're from the same country, of course. Yeah,
but of course, as a chess player,
well,
you have to play.
Yes, you have to play against your friends. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so did your preparation go as planned?
Well, more or less, I would say. I was prepared till the move number like 7, I guess. Yeah,
Okay,
here rook
so
e1.
good.
I could have played with d4, it's more or less the same, but here I'm giving my opponent an opportunity after rook e1 to play with e5. So if I play e4, e5 isn't so good. But it's a like very well-known theory in many games,
Yes,
so nothing
yes,
special.
that's
Yeah,
true.
rook e1, so e5. And now it's switched to King's Indian, switched colors. I
have
wasn't
an
sure
extra
about
tempo.
tempos because my opponent is spending e6, e5, and he's playing black. So it looks like kind of two tempos. Yeah,
tempos,
but
yeah.
I have my rook on e1, which isn't great in King's Indian for sure.
because you want
Yeah.
to play with f4.
Yeah,
at
for
some
sure.
point.
I need my rook on f1 and for f4, something like that. So this position should be around equal. I thought I have a little bit initiative. I was trying to attack the c5 pawn. So yeah, so d4 and c4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
d4 is kind of standard because it's not so easy for.
Yeah,
black to
otherwise
defend.
my
Yeah.
rook on e1 would be great. So d4 is a very logical move, closing the position. Here
Knight
I was
c4.
expecting to see queen c7 because my opponent played knight d7.
And maybe you'd play a4.
Yeah,
or-
I was going to play a4 and very like typical position for a King's Indian. I don't know, castle knight h4 maybe.
Yeah, and then you go back rook f1 and try
Yeah,
to play
it
with f4.
maybe rook f1 immediately or maybe a little bit later. But when my opponent played knight d7, as in the game, I don't have time for rook f1 because the reason I don't have knight h4 square. So here I
That's
decided
true,
to play differently. I played with a4,
a4. I mean, normal to stop b5.
yeah, castle, stopping b5, and here I played bishop h3, which isn't really happening in King's Indian because white's bishop usually being on e3, so in opposite colors position.
That's
and usually
true.
here, this move is attacking pawn on e5. At the same time, after some knight's move, knight f6 or wherever it is in the future, I'm going to exchange this bishop,
Yeah.
which isn't a good one for me. So
And then take the pawn.
yeah, I was kind of happy with this exchange. Of course, black's position is fine, but anyway, it's a game, so we are just trying to play your favorite positions.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. This seems to be like really good for you. I mean,
Yeah, it was
but
like
of
kind of-
course it's still playable. I mean, it's not
Because
like,
when you're playing King's Indian, you have less space and you need to exchange some pieces
Of course.
to have a better chance.
and
yeah.
of course this is your bad bishop always.
Yeah, of course,
so
my
in
worst
King's
thing.
Indian, you always
Yeah,
want
of course,
to get rid
exchanging
of
my war and bishop on c8, for example, on e6 is going to be great. So exchanging this bishop for me, I felt it's a great deal.
it. Yeah. Okay, so he went queen c7, and then a5. I like this.
I'm not sure about f5,
Yeah.
but what I was trying to do to stop this b6, a6, b5, but playing a5, initially I missed a good chance by black, so after a5, rook b8 was a very good move. Now b5 is coming, and I can't stop it, because b5 takes, so I was going to prepare against this b5 somehow, maybe c3, so I wasn't sure what I'm going to do. But rook b8 was a very good move. As my opponent played knight f6, I didn't like it, because it gave me a good chance. After knight, I played bishop f5.
I
This
like
is very
this one,
important. I am
to
forcing
attract some weaknesses.
yeah, of course, g6, because if other move, for example, any like bishop d7, knight e5 is hanging, because knight takes, and bishop f4, queen is trapped. So he can't wait. And after playing g6, I used this g6 move later.
Yeah, of course. It's a big weakness for
Yeah, weakening king very badly, so...
Take c3.
Yeah, now I need my queen on b3, so I'm gonna still stop b5, after how it happened in the game.
b5. And then, of course, you have to take. pawn
Takes on a8. My general idea is to have my queen on b3, attacking b6, aiming for f7 at some positions, and of course...
Yeah, and f7 now suddenly is weak for black.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like some potential, like at some point if I manage to play knight g5, it may be too hard for black to defend all the weaknesses. Knight d7 here is the only move, I guess, because it stops bishop g5, knight g5. But bishop h6, I was happy about this move.
I really like bishop h6.
Yes.
I think you're just bringing your final piece closer to
Yeah,
the
I'm closing.
to the attack.
For example, if I play some kind of like bishop d2, my opponent would be able to play king g7, h6, so consolidate black's king's position, and it's going to be not so simple for me. But after bishop h6, I got many attacking ideas, just only because this bishop was there.
Maybe some h4, h5 at some point.
Yeah, even h4, h4. So what I was going to do here, as happened in the game, for example, after queen a7, I was going to activate my rook, so c takes d4. It looks a little bit strange, because I'm giving my opponent c5 square, but it's very concrete. Because if black plays e takes d4 in the previous position, I was going to play e5. And e6 is unstoppable. So if, for example, queen a4, even changing the queens, which is...
But you also have something like knight d6 maybe, no? Or?
Yeah, I mean, after queen a4, takes e6, it should be winning. I don't know, I didn't see any defense for black. So just crushing all the king side, c6 is going to be hanging.
And all your pawns, although they might seem weak, sometimes you can't really get get to
Yeah,
this
so
much.
position is just great. Black pawns on the queen side are going to be hanging. So
Rook c1,
yeah, rook
nice.
c1. And now there is. I feel this position is lost for black. I didn't see
So I
any
guess
moves.
knight c5 doesn't
Knight
work because they
c5.
lose b6, huh?
Oh yeah, I take
Or
queen
you take
b6.
b3?
No, I'm just going to take queen b6. And that's
And
it.
I don't have an intermediate move.
No,
right?
nothing, because I can take queen c6 and c1 is
No, I
protected.
take here first and now.
Ah, nothing could come. Knight d5 is the next move.
Knight d5. Yeah. Well, I was thinking, yeah, but there's this beautiful idea. Let's just show maybe this, and then if I take in d3, just probably taking c6.
Yeah,
right?
taking
And then-
queen c6. Yeah, so
okay.
it's-
So bishop c5, and now
Knight b6 I played. And I'm not actually sure about this move, because in a couple of moves I blundered my piece.
oh no,
Suddenly, I was super surprised, because after rook b8, which is the only move. By the way, I was thinking about knight a5, knight here, instead of rook b8. So knight a5, I was going to play queen d5. And bishop b6 is the only move, because knight b6 isn't possible. And so I was going to play here just b4. There is knight g5, there is knight d5, but I said
Yeah.
before winning back the piece, and of course I'm going to crush because I'm
Of
winning
course,
all
yeah.
the pawns. King is under a very strong attack, so just before is winning. And yeah, rook b8 probably was the only move. And here I
And
played
knight
knight g5.
g5.
I was very happy because I thought I'm winning. And knight d8.
did you miss knight d8?
I missed
or-
knight d8. I was completely surprised. So looks, yeah, knight d8 is a very strong move, protecting f7. Well, taking this knight away from the c file, so I'm just clearly losing a piece. And I found, I guess, only idea in the position.
This is very beautiful. Queen d5,
Bishop,
and then,
yeah, bishop b6 and queen d6. But suddenly queen e7 is coming, and
yeah, back rank mate.
yes. So in the game,
This knight cannot move.
I think here is only move for black is bishop a5. So queen e7, bishop b4, queen e8, bishop f8. Because in the how it happened in the game after
The
bishop,
bishop
c5,
c5,
yeah,
you
it
took.
should be
Very
lost.
beautiful.
And there is no defense, so either I'm mating from e8 or f8.
Yeah.
So any move, I just queen b5.
Either this way or that
Yeah,
way.
that was very good. This one I saw, but I blundered knight d8. So
Well, it's good that you had something.
Yeah,
you
still-
didn't really blunder, you just missed.
you know, when you
missed
have
the
so
chance.
many active pieces, the attacking, like, you should have something.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, beautiful game. I really appreciate you coming down here and
Thank you.
walking us through the game. We hope to see you again in the future, and we wish you good luck for the
Thank you
remaining
so
of the
much.
tournament. Thank you. All right. Thank you again for this beautiful game and commentary. We're going to have, I'm told, Jeffrey Shong coming into the studio very soon to walk us through that beautiful game that we looked at a little bit earlier. I'm really looking forward to see what he thinks, well, to hear his thoughts. And also, if you guys have questions for Jeffrey, make sure you send them into the chat. I believe Caleb is going to help me maybe address some of them, or we will try to address any of your questions. And yeah, it's so exciting to have Jeffrey here in a second. I'm going to pull up his game. And hi, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, I want to say congratulations for your recent results. I've been following with a lot of interest your progress, and tell us a little bit about today's game. How did you feel about the game? How much preparation did you have for this game?
So yeah, I tried this kind of fashionable idea in the Scotch to play after knight f6, takes on c6, takes bishop d3. The main move is of course e5, and it's more
Yes.
sharp, but this one has been tried recently. So after d5 takes, this is all the most normal, castle, bishop e7, c4.
So is castle here the best move for black? We were not sure. We were discussing it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, d4 is the other main move. This is the one Geary played in the World Cup.
What are you going
against
to
Nair.
play? E4 maybe? We were
They play bishop g5, knight d2, and it's this kind of position where I have a blockade. He has the passed pawn, but it's kind of double-edged. But castle, I think, is more solid. Takes bishop b7, knight c3, knight d5, bishop d2. But here I think he made a mistake by taking on c3.
We weren't sure if it was here or a little bit earlier, so this is probably already giving you a lot of
think so,
advantage
yeah.
with the bishops being very strong.
Yeah, he has to keep the tension somehow with another move, rook e8, for example, or something. But after knight c3, bishop c3, the problem is queen d5. I have queen g4, attacking and defending. So he tried bishop f6, but
and then f6 is not a possibility because bishop c4. And
yeah.
All right, so bishop f6. But it seemed like here it just goes your way after bishop f6.
Yeah, surprisingly, this double attack, it's not easy to deal with.
Do you think maybe black should try to give up the c pawn? I mean, sorry, to give up the h pawn instead of the c pawn?
Yeah, that's
try to do
what
something?
I thought. But for example, let's say you try rook fd8 is one move I was considering.
You would probably take
I take king h8. The key idea for me, I think, is to play bishop f5.
Ah, okay.
Because if bishop d3, rook d4 might...
No, I was thinking maybe e4. But
bishop
then
e4,
I guess
b2.
maybe they could trade and then b2
Yes.
is hanging.
So, but bishop f5 I think is good because if he tries rook d4, for example, rook d1,
A, I'm assuming, right?
a, yeah, rook f4. I like this idea with bishop h3 to defend on g2, and also cover c8, for example, and
And then you still have pressure there. And
yeah, it should be just a queen pawn now.
nice. All right, so the g6, and then queen takes c7. Maybe he shouldn't go for b2.
Yeah, he probably has to try bishop d5, but it's also not much compensation. I go b3, and he can try rook fc8. If rook a8, I think I
Take an a7
yeah.
maybe.
So rook fc8, queen a5 is strong here. Hit the bishop. If queen g5, bishop e4 is important.
Very annoying.
Yeah, and I think it's not easy for him to generate any play on the king side.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they should be able to somehow bring a rook to a rook lift, but I don't see any way with it. At least if he had the b pawn, he could try some b6, but
Yeah,
that pawn is gone. So
I was thinking after the game maybe a5 instead of rook fc8.
the rook f8 here, a5.
Try some a4 maybe.
And try to undermine the
Yes.
protection of this chain of pawns and just
But
open
now
the
I
bishop
think
up.
queen c5 is good.
maybe
Again.
once again rook.
Yeah, and now rook of d8, rook a d1, and actually the bishop on d5 is loose piece.
Yeah.
a4, bishop g6, I think.
Oh,
should work.
okay. Yeah, and you're never scared, right? That these positions you might not be able to win, right? You're really comfortable. Like, say you would get, I don't know, a queen. These bishops would be traded, and you stay with the b pawn, and you have the queens. And
I think
Eric's on
in
the
the
board.
bishop endgame
Should-
it's always very smooth, but in rook endgame it's always tricky.
yeah,
But
but
I'm
with the
able to keep
queens,
bishops.
probably should be helpful for you, right? Keeping
Queen
the queens on
should
the
be,
board.
yeah. He can trade, for instance, queen c6, but as I said, with bishop still on the board, the
Yeah.
outside pass pawn
Just
should be
support it easily, and yeah. All right, so queen takes b2, and then
Yeah,
you went-
the thing he missed from afar was after queen d4, rook f d1.
I
he wanted
really like
bishop-
this move.
Yeah, he wanted bishop e4. And at first it looks fine for black, but I have bishop c2. And unfortunately, he cannot move the queen and protect the bishop.
Yeah, there's no place
Yeah.
for it. Uh-huh.
So that was
Okay,
the
so
issue.
that was his. He probably has thought about this a little bit. I mean, long time before this, but I see. Okay.
Yeah, and
bishop
also
c2 is nice.
unfortunate for him is in the game, this sacrifice just works out perfectly. So bishop d5. I
Yeah,
took-
bishop takes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his king was so weak. I was sure you're going to be able to have a mate here because just your rooks can come so easily, and then rook e1, of course, right? And then h3. I like this move very
Yeah,
much.
I also like, but I realized after that rook f4 is just
He's finishing the
forcing.
game a little
Yeah.
bit faster.
The key is after bishop f5, he has to stop queen f6. I go rook f3. Yes, threatening mate. But what I missed was I thought he goes rook a8.
Rook
a8.
a8.
Yes. And I couldn't see the forced mate, but I realized it's just rook g3, king h5, rook h3, king g6, queen g3, and then queen
Rook
h4.
a- Ah,
Yeah, this is what I kind of.
And then you're mating Rook Queen H6. Beautiful. But H3 seems like a really nice prophylactic move.
But it turned out that he goes Rook A8, and here I realize it's not completely trivial.
I didn't actually get the I didn't get the game refreshed immediately, so I thought the game was actually over here. But I guess there are a few more moves.
Yeah, Rook H4 was strong because at first it didn't come to me that easily. I wanted to try something like Queen G3 check at first.
Earlier you mean?
Yeah, but these ideas don't lead to mate. King of6. And
Queen H4, or he's going to escape that way if you don't check him, right? But
yeah,
then
exactly.
you cannot bring your rook as a bishop.
Right.
And then if you do something like this,
King G7.
G6. 6 or 7? I don't know.
Probably G7.
G7 so the queen goes to G6. Yeah, and you cannot just take any 6 because it's not going to help. You are actually helping him bring a new piece.
Yeah, so Rook H4 was important, so I kind of boxed his king a little bit, so king has nowhere to go.
It looks like he's kind of in Zugzwang here.
Yeah,
And you have ideas like this, right, coming up?
Yes. Okay, there are two important lines, I guess. If F6, I have Queen H5 and Rook E6. So that Rook E6, Rook G4, and there's no...
Queen mate?
Yeah, he can give some check on the back ring, but there are
You
no
can also
follow-up.
play G3 or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So the other one is what he played,
Which is Bishop F5. And then Queen
yeah,
G3.
Queen G3
Has to
check
go.
is important, and then
Queen D6, and now you're bringing your final piece into the game. It seemed like such a straightforward game that to me it wasn't so obvious where black really made a mistake, but now that we went through the game with you a little bit, it kind of makes a lot of sense that you should have tried a little bit earlier to keep some tensions and not be greedy, I guess, with taking the bishop. What have you done recently? How come you've started improving so much? Would you mind sharing some secrets with the audience?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure. Kind of around summertime, I found some kind of breakthrough. I didn't feel like I did something special or something, but sometimes it happens like all of a sudden you just pull together a string of results and everything's going well. So yeah, hopefully I can just keep playing well and keep rising.
Yeah, we are certainly looking up to see all your success. We thank you for coming to join us. We hope you'll come again in the future rounds, and good luck in this tournament. Hopefully you're going to do great. Thanks. So, all right, thanks Jeffrey for joining us. We are going to be looking a little bit at some footage from the tournament hall. As you can see, everyone is really focused. We're going to get Caleb back in to join me to do some more commentaries. We probably will start looking a little bit at the B group. It's really exciting chess happening.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful interview. Interviews from Gabuzian as well as Jeffrey Zhang, the two co-leaders now in the A group, both winning their first round without too much difficulty. Some very clean games. Although I guess in Hovanes's case, it got a little bit scary when he dropped that piece off, but just such crushing activity.
Yeah, and he said it was just like for a moment. You know, it happened to me oftentimes that I thought, oh, how is it possible? I thought I was winning, and then suddenly, where did this move come from?
Yeah,
but
always these moments of panic.
Yeah, but he certainly didn't really it wasn't a real blunder. So.
Right. So yeah, why don't we take a look finally at what's going on in the B group with our B group pairings. So of course, so much action in the A group, we can't forget that there are actually 2 round robins going on. So in the B group, we have Malik Kachian playing against Sergei Ehrenberg, Emilio Cordova playing against Alexei Sorokin, and Alshon Muradiabadi has actually already drawn his game against Federico Perez Ponza. Sergei Azarov squares off against Root Union. And in our key matchup of the day, we decided to go with Justin Wang against Christopher Yu. Of course, the two youngsters of the tournament, the number 1 and number 2 U14 players in the Americas. We see them there, squaring off the youngest, the smallest players in the tournament, but certainly players to look out for. These kids are always getting better at crazy paces. And,
For sure.
Any tournament feels like could be the breakout one where they really take down a lot of strong players and
That's
make a
true.
name for themselves.
I think none of these young players should ever be underestimated. I mean, you never know how much time they spend working on chess, and as an adult, you often have to do a lot of other things while they have all their time.
It's just chess. And what a crazy position we have on the board. Why don't we pull it up here and see what happens?
Let's put it up. Wow, a lot of things have changed since we have well, we have seen this actually before going live in the show.
Yeah.
But,
So we have some very nasty pressure along the G file for white, but the bishop for the knight, and then 2 H-pawns for black. This is not something I'm familiar with.
Yeah, actually, I would take white here. I think white is better in this position. I would say white is better, but it doesn't seem so easy. Like, of course,
Black, of course, is going to contest the G file a little bit. Probably rook G8 seems like the only move to me.
Yeah.
But then there's the C and D pawn for white, and its counterparts on the black side are the H4 and H6 pawns, which don't seem to be going anywhere very quickly.
That's the problem, yeah. They're double pawns, and with the king being in front, black might not have such a easy way to improve the position. Like, you know, if we would stay in an endgame where white stays with the knight and black with the bishop, well, it depends if that bishop gets to enter and start attacking these pawns, but if it doesn't, like if it would be just white to move, this would be a weakness.
Yeah.
I think black should be able to maybe get to protect that pawn. If everything gets to be traded in G, the king would come to F7, and then...
So yeah, the good news for black is that this knight is actually a little bit stuck on this B5 square.
Yeah.
You can imagine it jumps into C7, but then where does it go from C7?
Yeah,
if
you
the
would
black
have
king
to
is on
start pushing
F7?
the pawns, like C4, C4, D5. This is kind of what you would want to do, but you have to be very careful, because as you start pushing this chain of pawns, you start giving black the option to activate their bishop and start attacking your pawn, so you have to be very careful.
And meanwhile, it's tough to bring the king in, because this bishop is holding onto this H4 pawn, and if the king strays too far, that pawn might start to push down the board. But actually, why don't we take a look at what might happen? So let's say rook G8. I think that's the only real try for black.
Let's do that.
So white can force this endgame by trading off the rooks.
Trying to think. I mean, I don't see... I think white should trade. I mean, I was just trying to double check. Because, you know, oftentimes you're thinking, okay, there's a tension. What should I do? You should always make sure that you are trading because it's good for you, not because...
Well, I think I might see close to a winning idea, actually.
Okay, let's see.
So if we trade,
takes.
And then instead of knight c7, I wanted to play f4 here. And this kind of cements my weakness on e5, and I don't think this f4 pawn is really going to be an attackable weakness. In fact, I might even put my king on f3, where it stops the h-pawn and also defends my f-pawn.
I agree with that idea. The only problem would be if somehow black would actually start pushing this h-pawn, you would go take it and then try to get their bishop active. We have to keep that under consideration.
Right.
When you put a pawn like this, definitely, I mean, I think it makes great sense to stop it. Yeah.
So I guess
maybe king f7.
Yeah, king f7 seems reasonable, and I didn't.
Would you go?
I don't know if I should waste time playing king g2 and king f3, or if I should just go with c4 immediately. But I think king g2 is a solid move to start with.
What I'm worried about with c4 is maybe this bishop could just jump.
Yeah, and then I could play king g2 here, or king g2 first, but
yeah, but how exactly do you want to...
Yeah, it is kind of difficult, right?
Like, you have to calculate. This is not that simple of an end game. I mean, I would take white here, but...
As soon as you jump to d2, there's knight d6 ideas to look out for.
See if I can...
Yeah, perhaps even here immediately.
If I care about that pawn or not. Maybe I don't care about that pawn.
Well, it's the b pawn and then also the a pawn if the bishop goes to f4.
Maybe you take it.
This is a lot of passed
and
pawns
then
on
you
the
go d5.
queen's
Yeah,
side,
if I play bishop e3. So I guess I have to make one more move before I activate my bishop.
White can also start with king g2 to kind of delay this bishop.
But I
coming
wonder,
in.
now that you said that, maybe white actually can play, what do you think, knight d6 directly, actually? Or maybe...
Oh, yeah,
like
the king and pawn endgame actually looks...
maybe
kind
even
of-
here, I wonder. Maybe after f4. The king and pawn endgame should be winning for white, considering that you just start grabbing all of these pawns.
Yeah, I think this looks very promising
Mm-hmm.
for Justin Wang, and he would pull out to an early lead over his other
That's true.
youthful competitor.
That's true. I mean, what a game. Do you want, shall we go from the beginning to see what
Yes, absolutely.
kind of opening did we deal with? Oh, wow. Okay, Alekhine defense. It's been a while since I've seen this.
Yeah, not the most popular these days.
Not the most
and-
popular, no, because you're developing a knight early on, you don't
Right.
occupy the center, but of course there are ways to counterattack the center eventually, so.
I'm not super familiar with this opening, but I think knight f3 is the main stuff White is doing these days. The modern, I think they call it.
Yeah. Longer time ago, I think c4 was a move that White was considering,
Yes.
to try to get even more space, but
Things like the 4 pawns, but
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit too weakening for White.
because you don't really get the chance to develop all of your pieces.
Right.
So, all right. So, okay. So knight g5, e6, queen f3. Okay, I'm learning a new opening. I'm not an e4 player or Alekhine player myself, so
Yeah, we're in the
It's
same.
always nice.
We're in the same boat.
it's always nice to see new things. You never know when you might be able to use it. So this is kind of a little bit like a Pirc now, or modern defense, right?
Yeah.
Just that the knight kind of went all the way to b6. So.
And this seems like a very principled way to play for Justin, in my opinion, where you just develop the pieces and you make some annoying threats before Black gets
Yeah.
developed, because Black is wasting some time moving
That's
these
true.
pieces
And
back
plus the
forth.
knight is certainly on the other side of the board, so that's not going to be.
And it looks like we have another
We have a
result.
result.
I didn't quite catch who that was.
I think it was Alexei Sorokin. But
So Alexei Sarana has drawn Renat Jumabayev. That is the
Ah,
game that
that
just
one,
finished
okay.
in the A group. But yeah, back to
All right.
this game. How did we...
Queen e7. All right, h6. Okay, so he finally decided, okay, there's too much pressure on the e5 pawn. We need to make a decision.
Right.
Have to take in d6, pawn takes. And now he's finishing development. I like it so far. He's not rushing with the castle because maybe he can keep some options open. And it's always nice when you have the ability to develop some pieces with tempo.
Yes.
You should do that as often as you can. So d5,
Ooh,
knight
and the
d6.
D6 square is
Ooh.
actually White's for the taking.
So now no more castle for Black. But okay, in these positions, it doesn't matter that much, I believe, because Black has this kind of nice idea that they can bring the king to h7, and the king will be pretty safe by around these pawns.
Yeah, castling by hand.
Yeah, and now knight takes c8. Now, I'm not sure if I would have done that. I would have taken the bishop, but okay. Knight takes c8, c3. Okay, so far we're seeing development. Okay, even better than my idea. Bishop is f6 and king g7, although this square might remain weak at some point.
Yeah, the rook seems a little tied down at the moment.
For the moment, yeah, especially because we have this kind of ideas with queen h3. And then Justin goes for rook e1. Nice. More threatening moves.
Yeah, all of Justin's moves seem to
Yeah.
come with tempo, and it's...
I don't know why.
It just seems difficult for Black, honestly.
Yeah, I thought he was more of a positional player, but I think he likes dynamics for sure. h3, knight a3. Okay, so this is a nice idea. Now you're not so sure where you want to place this knight, right? So oftentimes you would go knight d2, bring it to f3, maybe go towards e5.
It's kind of funny. I think knight a3 might actually be aiming for the g4 square, which is kind of silly to say, but you can imagine it. It looks at
yeah, of
b5,
course.
so if Black plays a6, maybe stopping knight b5, now all of a sudden the knight comes to c2.
Exactly.
And from c2 it comes to e3, and from e3 it gets to this g4
Yeah.
square. So knight a3, an attacking move on the king's side.
That's true. That's very well said. Yeah, I've seen this happening sometimes, and it's much nicer, you know, because you think just oftentimes of natural moves. That I always like to see some creative players coming for something. Okay, so now obviously there's a little threat, so he went for a4, bishop g5. We do not trade. those bishops.
That bishop, very nice for white, of course.
Yeah.
Pressuring these weak dark squares for black.
Knight e4, queen e2. All right, so now he didn't want to bring his knight to e3 just yet, because we don't want to allow the bishop to capture, maybe.
Well, there's
maybe.
a knight d2 threat as well.
Directly, yeah, that's true, actually. But even later, I mean, okay,
Yeah.
after rook a6, he didn't play it, so I think that was the reason. Right?
Well, yeah, I think actually white might not be unhappy with the trade of the bishop for the knight. But black is kind of making threats on every turn, right? Like rook b6 might be a problem now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this knight needs to be moved. So I found this interesting to go back, and now you're going for b5 because now
Right.
this is an outpost.
Yeah,
so
black
you're
is
trying
committed to
get-
a5, weakening the b5 square.
And plus we have ideas with the knight in b5 and the bishop in h2, which we often can forget about. It's coming back into play. Bishop h4, rook f1. Okay, no weaknesses for white. We're not going to try any kinds of g3. That would make no sense. Just want to make sure everything stays protected. Knight b5.
I do want to mention, we actually do have another result in Group B. Emilio Cordova has drawn his game against Alexei Sorokin.
Okay.
And that results in the second draw of the day for the B group.
Sounds great. Not many decisive results. That. All right.
All right, so
Maybe-
yeah, bishop c2.
Bishop c2, knight f6, queen d3. I'm looking at some sacrifices.
Yeah, I think Justin is as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
So how does black defend? Knight
Knight
a7.
a7, very interesting
The
move.
lateral defense.
but what about in this position? So in this position, Justin played bishop e5. I'm thinking,
And knight a7 maybe?
no, I would not trade that knight. No,
Oh,
knight
well.
c7. What do you think
knight
about this one, Caleb?
Yeah, this one looks very interesting. I wanted to do the brute force approach, where I take on a7 and then I take on
Take it
on
easy,
g6,
but I don't think there's a mate.
yeah,
You know,
it's
I
not
mean,
enough.
we were joking about it, but there's no mate. I mean, we can put it for the audience just in case, but
Well, I think your idea is kind of similar, where maybe knight takes e6 would be possible.
Maybe.
But I think even here it isn't enough, even just giving up the knight rather than the rook. So let's say rook c6,
rook c6.
just to put a move on the board. And then what can be done for white?
I was actually thinking, some sacrifices, but I guess maybe they don't really work as well as I anticipated.
Yeah, somehow black has put all of his pieces on the dark squares, and he seems to control them just well enough to prevent these sacrificial ideas.
What about something like this? Would it be too much?
Queen g3? I'm not convinced of
Don't
the
really have
idea.
something very serious yet. Bishop takes g6 and then take. I want too much sacrifices. I guess I saw those two great games, and
Yeah.
I'm feeling like now, okay, there should be some sacrifice, but
Yeah, it's tough to play like Jeffrey Zhang, though.
yeah, of course.
He seems to have a way with it. What actually happened in the game? I'm curious.
Yeah, let's see. Bishop e5. Maybe knight c7 is not that great. It just feels like you want to play the move because you don't want to trade.
Right.
But, okay, so knight c6, bishop f4, g5. Okay, so he attracted some weaknesses in a way. So now he's going back to h2. This might remind us a little bit of Gabuzian's game, actually, where he played bishop f5,
Yeah.
attracting g6. And now we see kind of a similar... these youngsters, they learn fast.
Yeah, there's these principles, right,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
when you're getting attacked, the best rule of thumb is to not touch any of your pawns in front of your king. Because the farther up the board your pawns move, actually the more weaknesses are created. We see here with g5, actually the light squares have been even further weakened. Now white has access to this h7 square, the h5 and f5 squares also becoming a little bit more weakened. And
g6 sometimes, maybe?
it also acts kind of as a hook, right? White can hook
Certainly,
onto
yeah.
this g5 pawn in some lines.
Yeah, and open up a file. That would be great, the F file to be open and then get to the king. That didn't really happen in the game, considering that we know the final position, well,
Right.
the position that we looked at earlier. So F4, okay, I like
So
this idea.
He does try to use this g pawn to hook open the
Yeah.
the king.
And now we have, okay, so now we have capturing e5, and that's why the pawn structure has changed a little bit. F pawn took in e5, and I like this idea. I mean, of course, you want to open up the F file for white.
Right.
But now you blocked your E file, so knight e4. Okay, so now he won this pawn. So how did...
Feels like white just controlled too many squares there. There's just no way, no good home for this knight on f6 if it retreated back maybe to d7. Instead of coming up to e4, I think maybe the pressure on the king would just be far too great, right?
I think so.
Things like
I
rook,
mean,
rook f1, rook takes f7 is coming, and
and then there are typical mates, queen g6, another rook coming to f1, and
Right.
there'll be...
and of course this
that would
rook
be
on
over.
h8 pinned down to controlling h7. Now that this g5 weakness
For sure,
has
yes.
been pushed.
So he found...
And
oh,
we actually seem to have the results of the
result.
game. Looking at the board, it's looks like
Seems
white
like-
has more knights.
yes,
So
I think Justin...
I'm willing to say that
Justin
white won
won,
this game.
yeah,
And
white
we do
won.
see the kings placed on the light squares, signifying that Justin has defeated his opponent here. So why don't we kind of quickly run through and see
yeah,
how we
let's
did end up.
see what happened exactly, and then maybe we can have Justin come over. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
That'd be a great
that would
interview.
be possible.
We'll give him some time to get down here, though.
King h7.
And
Okay, so this is what
we're
happened. So let's
approaching
see.
the position.
All
that we
right. So did
see.
they do what we expect? Oh, yeah.
So yet the rooks were traded.
Oh, wait. That was our analysis.
Ah, yeah. Maybe we can refresh.
Let's refresh.
Just double click, I think is.
I did.
There you go.
All right. So
And
let's
switch
go
us
back. Let's make sure that we are looking at the right position. So what did we have? We had something along
Rook
these
G2,
lines, right?
Rook G1.
Oh,
And
bishop G5. So he did not trade the rooks. Okay.
Right. So this is I guess the only other way for black to try
Yeah,
and
try
prevent this
to-
pressure.
Maybe keep the bishop, out. That was kind of...
Yeah.
But the problem is you leave this g6 square, and we have seen previously that that's going to be very annoying. A lot of these pawns are going to fall.
King h3 is a very nice move from white, preventing any bishop f4 with tempo. And now this bishop will never really have time to
Yeah.
escape.
Because probably if you make some random move, okay, I don't want to make knight d6 because then rook would be attacked. But let's just imagine something like this. This is something that black would consider doing, like putting a bishop in
even
g3.
rook c7 here, and then
Maybe rook g6. That's why I was
Yeah.
trying to kind of show that. I just want to show this
rook
idea.
c7, rook g6, rook e7, and then bishop g3 I think is coming.
No, but I think I can take your pawn, right? Or
I wanted
maybe
to play
don't
rook
rook
e7.
g6. Maybe I take here first if you do that.
Ah. Yeah. No, it's problematic.
Yeah,
but
that-
yeah, of course, bishop g3 is
Yeah,
the
that's
point.
that's something very typical. Of course, here the rook is hanging, so unfortunately with black you don't really have the opportunity. But I guess Christopher was trying to get something like this, and then you get blocked.
Right.
And even if you get to take the exchange, it will be a little bit hard. Not too hard here because you do have the ability to open files.
Yes.
But oftentimes people think, okay, I have an exchange up, I'm going to win the game. But it's not always really like that. If you don't have files to actually get your rooks active, an exchange doesn't always
Yeah.
help you win the game. So, all right, so he played knight d6. Definitely installing his knight there was a great idea. f4. Beautiful. Okay. So he made that sacrifice. Now trading the rooks. Knight takes b7, and here these pawns are not going to do much, and I guess bishop c1 is not taking sufficient pawns. That a pawn
yeah,
probably is going
too,
to
too much.
prove...
The
No,
knight on
a-
c6 perfectly controls all the dark squares. And I think actually we have Justin Wang ready to come in for an interview. So
Okay.
once again, I will be stepping out, and Justin can come in, talk a little bit about this game.
Sounds great. Meanwhile, maybe we can look at
Yeah,
some...
maybe check out some of these other results that we had, a
Yes,
couple of
yes.
these-
So maybe
these
we can
draws in the
pull
B
some
group.
results from the A group. Hopefully. Nope.
Yeah, so we have
All right.
this draw between Elsham Radivati and and Federico, and also this Emilio game we can look at.
So let's see. So okay. So this was this was a pretty closed game. We definitely have to look at that a little bit. And then the draw between Elshan and the responsa Federico. All right, another draw here for us. And we have Justin here with us today Thanks for joining us, Justin. How are you feeling after your win? Congratulations, first of all.
I don't know. I don't think my play was that good for this.
You don't think your play was good?
Or he played. I just blundered a simple move. So.
Okay, so let's look at your game.
Yeah.
Do you wanna? Okay. So did you expect the Alpine defense? No. So but you had some preparation. Look like, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any. I didn't.
You just
I
tried
didn't
to
look
play?
at anything. Yeah.
You didn't look at anything. You just tried to play some.
Yeah, but I kind of like remember some lines. So I remember some knight g5 line.
Okay.
And then yeah.
All right. So it will be up.
Oh,
here.
okay.
So if it's easier for you.
Yeah, bishop
All right.
c4.
Bishop c4, knight b6, bishop b3.
Bishop g7.
We really like this knight g5 idea that you played because.
I just remember something like from the preparation. Like I didn't prepare this line.
Okay,
at
so
all,
maybe
so just
longer time ago or something. It seems really nice. I really like the fact that you're coming. You made a lot of moves with tempo. You had it looked like you had a lot of dynamics going on in the game. Just going for.
I think this was all the line.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, this is
neither
all
Caleb
like
and I were
take,
familiar.
take.
So. Okay. So
Bishop
this is
f4.
still theory.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So this is, and then knight takes c8, knight takes c8, and then c3, and then basically,
That's how much you knew.
yeah, basically,
here.
and then I said white slightly better. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I liked. We liked your position
so
here.
bishop f6. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you think of
bishop
something
f6.
else for black? Maybe knight
I was
c6.
thinking
or
black
anything?
had something. I thought black had g5, h5 planned or something.
So
That's
what
what I was
did you plan against g5? What did you plan?
G5 had bishop g3.
And then h5. You're saying?
well, some kind of plan like that. Maybe not now.
Not
Like in the-
h4.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like just h3 and
Just
play
h3.
regular.
Okay, just let him play and then weaken his
I don't
position
know,
more.
like,
And then
it's probably some more aggressive.
he's going to have some
line.
trouble with his king, though, right?
Yeah.
So I
don't
thought
know.
this was kind
I
of.
don't know what the plan for black is. So
What about if he's trying some maybe minority attack over on this side of the board, like?
yeah, b5, a5 maybe.
Yeah, because he played bishop. So now you played.
Still.
You didn't really let him, but maybe in this position, like, is there knight c6, knight a3? Maybe instead of knight d6, maybe you can try a6 and try b5, something like that.
a6, knight c2. b5 and then I play.
Do you play a4?
Probably knight e3 here.
Oh, you're coming really fast for g4, right?
Yeah. It's my whole plan was knight e3.
Yeah, we thought about that.
And then next I play a4, so I don't.
So I
see
guess
anything.
if I play h5, it's going to be really weakening my position. But let's try.
Yeah.
Can you sacrifice?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Your piece. Oh, knight takes d5 just wins. Knight takes d5 just wins. Bishop.
Bishop takes, right?
Yeah.
And
And then
now-
just, you just lose the knight.
Okay.
Or
then you just take
bishop
it.
c6, and then
Yeah,
you just
and
down
then
pawn.
that's yeah.
So
It seems really weak for black. I at first when you took the bishop in c8, I didn't think that was so good because the bishop doesn't do anything. But it seems like without the bishop, black's pawn structure, even if it's a chain, it's really kind of weak.
yeah.
If you get to attack it.
I just don't know what plan black really has here. You should just play without bishop here. So.
Okay, so let's go back to that moment to your game. So you got into a position like this, right?
Yeah, and I don't know
When-
what he was doing though.
When did you think you were winning?
I don't know. I think I was winning like. I don't know like what winning is, but like if I got the b5 square, basically, I was think I'm winning. So as long
So
as I
around
got that
here?
square, yeah.
So
plus
maybe
plus
you
the
should-
time as well. So especially.
How come? How do you force yourself to play so fast? How come? Give some
I
other
don't know,
youngsters some
like-
tips how you play so fast.
I don't know. I just like. I think he just plays a move, and then after another move, he just spend another 10 minutes. Like I just take 20 seconds, and he spent 10 minutes on one move. then take 20 seconds, then you spend 10 minutes on another move. And
I see. So, but like, how do you do it?
I don't know. I just play natural moves according to my
Okay.
plans. So.
So you heard this is the tip.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
don't
play natural moves, and
I just don't know what he's doing. Like,
I see.
H4.
Okay. It seemed to us that you got a really great position.
Yeah,
in
this is
the
just
plan.
my
The
plan.
plan is really good, right? And did you ever think that you were able to actually sacrifice in e6 and try to mate?
Well, yeah,
You never
trying to
saw-
calculate, but only with knight on c7, maybe it's good. And that's why I placed bishop on f4, because I can take on h6.
This was the moment that I was thinking, or maybe after you played this bishop f4, I really liked this, attracts another weakness. And then
Yeah,
after knight f7, this was a moment that I thought you could maybe, or even a move before, but this seems
Knight c7,
even-
rook c6.
Yeah, I didn't see a follow-up here. I don't think you can sacrifice.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see
I
it?
just saw nothing here. Yeah, I saw. Or maybe I have some kind of like longer term, but it's not.
Long
not
term,
like
but yeah,
not
it's
like
not
you
obvious.
win like right away. Right
So
there.
it's better to keep pieces on the
Yeah,
board and
I see.
only sacrifice on your
Yeah,
knight.
so I just make him play g5 and I come back.
Sounds good. All right. Well, any other thoughts about the
Well,
game?
probably the main thing, like, I just completely missed f5 move. So, like,
where?
knight e5, f3, knight e4, and then queen f3.
Here?
Yeah, take, rook f8. Here, rook f8, h1, and then I thought I was
You
winning,
missed
and then
it.
I just missed.
You missed the fun.
Yeah, just
But it
completely
seems like you
missed.
still have a pretty
Yeah, a rook
great
e2,
position.
and then I was kind of worried about queen c4 here. I cannot find any move. d5 not working.
Because it's not going to be easy for you to actually get to the king. Can you prepare d5? Like maybe, no. What about this pawn? I see. Do you need to play rook a1 maybe?
Yeah, probably.
It's not. I see.
But rook a1, some g4, and then bishop h4.
That does seem a little bit annoying.
I don't know, somehow the engine still says I'm winning, but
Okay, well,
I don't know.
that remains to be seen, to analyze later, I guess. But this is certainly an interesting
It
point.
says winning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today. What are your thoughts for the tournament? For
Wow.
like coming in here, you're one of the lowest rated, but certainly you're not one of the players that everyone can say, you know, it's going to be easy. So you are going to put some great fights, I'm sure. What are your thoughts coming into the tournament? Do you
Well,
have
I
some goals?
hope. I just hope like not to have some like. I just don't want to keep losing the game. So as long as I don't lose any game, it's good. So
Sounds great.
like I don't want to have some disaster tournament with like
Of
2
course,
points.
just
So
keep playing like today. You know,
hopefully.
natural moves, and hopefully it will work out in your favor.
yeah, hopefully.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
and hope to see you again here in the studio.
Okay.
Good luck
Thank
in
you.
the next rounds. All right, very interesting game, and of course, you know, hard fought by the two youngsters. I'm going to be joined back by Caleb in a second. All right, we have one more result, looks like. Daniel Naroditsky drew against Erdos Victor. Wow, we have a lot of draws. We have had a lot of draws in the A group. It looks like we only have one game left, I believe, between Samuel Sevian and Grigory Oparin.
Yeah, and definitely an interesting game from Justin Wang. It's interesting. Did he say that he didn't think he played very well?
Yeah,
Well,
it was.
if that's what his bad games look like, then
I know.
I'm scared to see his good games.
Yeah, he was saying he didn't know the opening, but then it seemed like he knew all the way till like after knight takes c8, which at first
Right.
it seems like not the right idea, but he knew that was great. And
Yeah, well, there is kind of a difference, I think, between memorizing the lines and then really feeling like you understand the
That's
opening
true.
well. And I think maybe that's more along the lines of what he meant. Is,
Yeah.
he knew what to play, but he wasn't totally comfortable with the position.
possibly, but he knew that he's much better, so
Yeah.
definitely there was confidence. And he's playing very fast. That's something to note. A lot of the times you see some of the kids spending a lot of time not being confident, but he seems very confident in his play. He plays very fast, so he definitely will have a lot of interesting games, I think, for us to see.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. We'll have to be on the lookout, as right now, I think in the B group, he is the only player to score a full point.
Wow.
So he might be an early leader in this tournament,
yeah,
actually.
that's going to be a very interesting. It's a very tough tournament, so I'm sure we will see draws at some point. But
Yes.
I mean,
well, as you said, there's just one game remaining in the A group, and that is the game between Sam Sabin and Grigori Operin, which we haven't actually gotten a chance to look at yet. So
that is true, but I pulled it up on the screen, and we can see the video as well. He seems deep in thoughts.
Grigori with the classic chess player tick of twirling the pawn.
I know. That sometimes can be very disturbing. Some people don't.
When you're playing against it,
I think
some people
so,
don't like
yeah.
it.
I noticed when I was a kid I used to do it, and then I stopped because I was told, okay, that you have to be mindful. But thankfully his opponent is not there right now. Probably Sam is moving around.
My feeling on the etiquette at the board is always, when it's your turn, you can kind of do whatever you want. You can twirl your pawn, you can lean over the board, but on your opponent's turn, that's when you really need to, either step away or at least be very respectful and let them use their time. Maybe you have different thoughts.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different thought because it depends. For example, if you're in time trouble and on your time you're going to move the board or you're going to, make some of this noise, you can deconcentrate your opponent. So,
Right.
I mean, you have to try to be mindful of your opponent if something bothers them.
Definitely.
But anyways, I don't believe that's an issue at this point. So we have this interesting end game. What do you think about this one?
Well, I like to say I'm not a mathematician, but I can count the number of pawns, and black has more of them for the moment.
That is
if he can hold on to d2, then he will be a pawn to the good. In the meantime, black's king and white's king, both very centralized, rather. This b pawn for white seems to be where the counterplay is coming from.
Yeah,
So
that's the furthest away pass pawn. It's always good to have a pawn like that.
I guess it's a question of if black can kind of hold everything together and then find some way to eventually push forward, making some progress.
I feel like this game will end in a draw. I believe there was a move made.
Here we see Sam writing something
Knight
down.
c3 check. Okay, so we're going to see...
The d pawn is being traded for the b pawn. And the more pawns that come off the board, of course, the closer to a draw you get.
That's true. But I see them. They're going to play this a long time, probably.
Yes. Of course, if anybody has chances, it will be Grigori Operin with the black pieces. In fact, black's king may be slightly closer to the king's side than white's. But Sam is very quickly already
Yeah,
played
I
a
mean,
move,
I
actually.
think he can probably just bring his king right now and just, right?
King e2, king e3
King
maybe.
e3 maybe. Although you usually don't want to keep your pieces on the same color as your bishop,
Right.
but I think this should be fine, and try to get the king in front of the pawn. The bishop kind of restricts the knight for the moment, although, of course, opponent can bring his knight. And we also have knight d3 check, trying to push the king back. This should be a
Right.
draw. I have a feeling it will end in a draw.
It looks like white has more than enough time to get back to the king's side, and then the one extra pawn probably isn't going to be enough.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we're expecting two leaders in the A group after the round one action, and that would be Jeffrey Zhang and Hovhannes Gabuzian, both on 1 point out of 1. But we can jump back over to the B group, I guess. There's still a
there's
few
still
games
two
going on.
games, I believe, right?
Yeah. So we have this game between Kachin and Sergei Ehrenberg, and we have more endgames for fun.
This is
but
great. I
this,
mean,
this one looks a bit better than the last one we took a look at.
That is true.
So
So
it
in this
is
position,
black to move here. Of course, black has the option to go in for a king and pawn endgame, but that king and pawn endgame simply looks hopeless. Of course, the pawns, while they're equal, the two pawns on the king's side for white, the f pawn and the h pawn, are preventing black's extra pawn from being of any use. And white will simply make a passed c pawn, and then use that to distract the king, while the white king can come in and take off all of black's king side pawns.
yes. So we'll have, if these go away and the king is far away, I mean, you can do d5, right, like this, and then try to get the king. Get that pawn and everything. And the problem is that black cannot push the g pawn. They have a majority, but it's
Right.
blockaded. And g6 is not going to help because white will have passed pawn. But
Yeah,
this,
if
this
the kingside pawns were a little bit further up the board for black, then maybe there's ideas of sacrificing the
course.
g pawn. But with the white pawn so close to promoting that,
it looks like
it won't make a difference.
we had a few moves. So Sergey did not move his bishop from there. I think he's going to keep it on that diagonal. The king needs to stay. Let's see if white has. Does white have any chances now after d5? No, I don't think so. Maybe.
So this is the current position now?
This is the current position.
So yeah, and d5 just looks...
The problem in this
strong.
position is that the bishop wants to go to f8, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So you have to keep the king there to stop it. And now we have this breakthrough and trying to create this passed pawn. So,
yeah, so d5, king d7 looks forced, and then even bishop
like
f8 immediately is just going to clean up. And I believe I've received word Kachin is actually doing Russian commentary for us in the Superbet Grand Chess Tour tournament. So he definitely had a long day today. So very impressive if he manages to actually win this game after getting up quite early in the morning to do commentary
that is true.
for us.
I think he probably had to wake up at 5 a.m. Central Time or something like that. And he finished commentary maybe about 12, and then he had an hour maybe to relax. And then he had to start the game. I mean, it seems seems pretty tough for black to defend this position. I think Sergey Ehrenberg played.
We probably should mention the clock situation. Sergey Ehrenberg in his final seconds, whereas Kachin with
a lot of time. So
over
probably
an
he
hour.
was trying to save time, considering that he works so much. He was trying to save time not to have to play this long. So
and so the game progressed exactly as we thought.
Bishop
I think
eight, now bishop
it's
b4.
safe to call this one pretty much just a
I
secured
believe so.
win.
I believe so. Yeah.
In fact,
and now
maybe we should just play a couple more moves. So bishop b4. I'm expecting bishop g7, and then
he actually played king to d4.
even simpler, just defending the pawn.
Yeah, you don't want to give counterplays in these kinds of positions, and now those two pawns will be traded.
Yeah, the line I was looking at is once we take off this h pawn, it's simply unstoppable with h6, h7, h8 coming down the board. So that leaves one final game going on. That is the game between Azarov and Tigran Harutunian.
Which we thought in the beginning might be our game of the day, but...
Yes, Sergey, of course, is actually the top seed in the event. If he manages to win here today, he will move into joint first with Justin Wang, and we expect Kachin
to win that game. Wow.
And
that's,
it looks like he is a pawn to the good right now. And more pawns to follow, and a safer king, and more active pieces. I like white's chances.
I agree. Yeah, white certainly has a much better position, and their king seems to be pretty safe.
Yeah, this rook might invade on the first rank if we're not careful.
That was not intentional. The queen is controlling c1 for the moment, so we're safe there. But that also means that the queen cannot get activated, capturing in a7 and getting on 7th rank. So might not be so easy, but let's see, how can we improve the position a little bit for white in order to be able to get the queen active? First, b3 for sure was definitely something good that white did.
b3 defending the first rank, cutting off the bishop a little bit.
Yeah, because you don't want knight f1,
No, definitely
to get
not.
to let yourself be pinned. So.
It is black's turn, so he does get a chance to try and kind of make the white pieces a little bit less coordinated here. But I'm not sure how exactly he achieves that. This bishop is kind of needed for defense of the king, and it'll be tough to make any meaningful threats with just the rook and the queen.
Maybe h5?
h5 sticks out.
I'm just thinking about some ideas, h5, maybe g4, trying to open up the position the other side, trying something. You cannot stay passive, in my opinion, in this position with black.
Yeah, h4 might also be an idea for black as well.
h5, h4?
Yeah, h5, h4, with the idea being that if the king ever... there are perpetual ideas, with maybe a queen check on c1 in the future, and then the queen can come back to f4, and this h-pawn does prevent this move g2, g3, just keeping some more
that is
pressure
true.
around the white king.
That is true, yeah. So if at some point you get that king to go to h2, then you would have a check in f4, maybe, and g3 will not be possible.
So h5 actually was just played, I think.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
All right,
just looking
okay,
at the
so-
camera.
Hey, I still have some good ideas. Shall we do like, shall we look at the standings a little bit? To see?
Yeah, so what happened so far in the B group is Alshon Muradiabadi drew his game against Federico Perez Ponce, and Emilio Cordova drew his game against Alexei Sorokin. And then the only decisive game in the B group so far is Justin Wang against Christopher Yu. So Justin off to the early lead. We are expecting him to be joined at least by Kachin and possibly by Sergei Azarov, and both with very favorable positions with the white pieces.
That is true.
And we can, yeah.
I believe that game was the only one that not the only one, but the game between Cordova and Sorokin was a game that we had not looked at. Would you like to
We can take a
try to
glance,
take a look? Because
a glance there.
I was looking at the final position and I thought it was so interesting to the way the pawns are blocked.
Yes.
So maybe we can just see what kind of opening would lead to such a position. Oh, okay. I would not expect in English. All right, let's see.
Interesting.
Queen c2. Okay. So knight takes c3. Okay, so now we see how the pawn structure turned out to be that way. Okay,
Yes.
I don't think knight takes c3 is a typical move I would play in this position, probably with black. If
Well,
you might want to keep the tension.
It makes some sense to me. So white is just committed to b3, right? So
Yeah.
white is saying, I want to play bishop b2 and develop on this diagonal. And with knight takes c3, you're just making it slightly awkward for white to achieve that. You know, either has to put his queen in front of the bishop on the diagonal, and bishop f6 becomes an idea, or he has to take back with the pawn, closing the diagonal momentarily.
I agree, but c4 is definitely something that white can play, you know, later. It's not something
Yeah.
that he cannot play.
But-
And we've seen the final position, actually. That move is
Yes.
played.
White does have to spend the extra tempo.
That
to-
is
to
true,
open the
yeah.
diagonal.
So in a way, you are delaying them a little bit, but also you are trading. I like that knight in d5 a little bit more. I would keep it, but of course there are also some ideas sometimes for white to play some knight d4 maybe.
Yeah,
You first
putting-
have to
putting
play
pressure.
3 or something. Anyways, that was just a thought. So okay, so Emilio Cordova just finished his development. He's not in a rush to push c4 because of course you do not want to let black to play knight b4, especially because now you have your queen and bishop. You don't want to give up that great bishop.
Definitely.
h6, a3. Okay, that's a very natural move, stopping knight b4, and then you'll plan for c5. Okay. Okay, so we have some very principled chess in this tournament so far, I think, with some blunders at some point by some of the players, which is only natural at some point to happen. Okay, so of course white does not want to give the pair of bishops, so he retreated bishop e2, f4. If you see, by the way, any more changes in any of the games, please.
Yeah, I think Kachin is actually on the verge of winning this game. He has just played a very funny move, which is bishop f8 check, trying to draw the king away.
Let's draw back to that game since it's current.
Yeah, and I believe we actually see some score sheets being signed. I think Kachin has officially won this game, moving into joint first with Justin Wang in the B group.
Yeah, that's
So we can pull up maybe the final positions here.
all right. So he took in g7, and
Yeah,
now he
and
pushed
now
the c pawn,
c6.
and now there's what?
The bishop has to decide between stopping the
Yeah.
c-pawn or defending the h-pawn. The bishop
That's the problem.
defends the h-pawn, and then we see the very funny move from white, bishop f8.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. And then bishop d6, and now
The king has a clear path in through d5 into e6, and there's simply nothing to be done for black.
nothing. Definitely a fortress. So interesting, very, very, long game and tough game, and he pulled it through, even if he's been working early in the game. So
Yes,
he's definitely
a long day for Kachin. If anything, he'll be a little bit more well-rested for the rest of this tournament.
possibly. You never know.
So if this is him on no sleep, maybe running on coffee and willpower alone, then it'll be exciting to see his chess in the rest of the tournament.
That's true. Yeah, I know he's dedicated to be a chess coach, so it's nice to see him back into the game and playing some tournament himself and show some good results.
Well, there are just 2 games remaining in round 1 of the Winter Chess Classic, and that is this game you see on the left, and that is between, of course, Azarov and Harut Union, and the game you see on the right in the A group is between Sam Sevian and Grigori Oparin. Both games still going on. Grigori trying to prove something with his extra pawn, but it will be quite difficult. And Sergei is still quite early on in this game, actually, maneuvering around, trying to prove something against the Black King.
Yeah, still an extra pawn, so he's trying to take advantage of that. You cannot give up when you have an extra pawn. You need to make sure you find some way to at least push. To try to get some chances.
Well, we are nearing the end of our show, I think. 5 o'clock is rapidly approaching. So if you guys do want to follow these games for yourselves, see them through to their conclusion, you can do so on uschesschamps.com, see the games live, see the engine analysis as well. It's all up to you. But why don't we take a look at our final standings in the A group, if we have that ready to pull up. We might not. Results in the A group. We have Alexei Sarana drawing his game against Rinat Jumabayev. Sam Sevian still trying to hold on against Grigori Oparin. We're expecting him to be able to do so. Hovannes Gabuzian is one of your co-leaders, taking down his countryman, Var Akobian. Daniel Naroditsky drew his game with Victor Erdos. And Jeffrey Zhang was a very convincing game against
Definitely,
Sefi,
yes.
ripping open the king's side, using his active pieces, delivering a nasty attack.
So we have 2 leaders in this A group.
Possibly 3,
Possibly
but for the
3.
moment, just the 2. And why don't we take a look at what happened in the B group as well. Melik Kachin, of course, has just won his game against Sergei Ehrenberg. Emilio Cordova drew against Alexis Sorokin. Elshan Muradiabadi drew against Federico Perez Ponce. Sergei Azarov still trying to win against Tigran Harut Union. And Justin Wang defeating Christopher Yu. And those 2 youngsters, definitely going to have to keep an eye on them.
For sure. I'm looking already for all of these games. Definitely. There's a lot to learn for both of us. And
yes.
Hopefully everyone has enjoyed our commentary today.
Of course, we will be here for the entirety of this tournament. 9 rounds, so get used to seeing us. We'll be here for all of it. I think you'll get to see the wonderful Ben Simon for a couple days, substituting in for me. But in addition to that, we have a lot of upcoming events to look out for. Of course, the Tata Steel India Grand Chess Tour event is coming up directly after this tournament ends. That will be Rapid and Blitz. And following that one, not too far away, are the Grand Chess Tour finals. Definitely going to want to tune into those, as we'll see which of these top players can get it done there. Well, any final thoughts on the rounds today? Which players impressed you the most?
I like the 2 wins by Jeffrey Zhang and Gabuzian. Yeah, those just were very impressive. And in the B group, of course, Melik's win against Sergei Ehrenberg was certainly something impressive.
Right.
And
even Justin's game as well.
Justin's game as well.
Very solid chess.
And he was so creative and so fast. So,
all right.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm thankful to be here, actually.
Yeah.
And
we're glad to have you here in the studio.
I'm looking forward to more commentaries with you in the next couple of days, and hopefully everyone will tune in at 1 p.m. Central Time.
So 1 p.m. is the start of the round, but our show will be starting at 3:30 tomorrow. Please be sure to come back and join us for that. With that being said, thank you all very much for joining us, and we will see you next time for more live coverage of the Winter Chess Classic.
Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.